let's implement the registration functionality. So from the login screen, I'll go to register here. This is the simple registration stream. And then from here we can proceed. So let me go to the register screen here. These are the widgets. And you can see within the button for registration, there is no code. That's what we need to implement by connecting with our XAMP, specifically the database that we created in XAMP right here. Okay, so let's do that. So we have users, and we are able to create a user using this particular API, rather script. Let me just create a user here. Jackson, just retain that and that, and this can be 7. Right, once you click this, it says that this user has been registered, Jackson Kamau. We can check that here. We refresh this, Jackson Kamau. I'm using the same password, the different phone number. So it means our API is working. The only thing we need to do is to integrate that with our code here. In our login screen, we had talked of a number of steps. Number 1 was to go to YAML file and make sure you have this package. Since I already have it, that step is done. Number 2 is to, within this code here, we had talked of number 2, adding internet permission to your Android app, which I already did. So that 2 is done right here. Make sure you have this permission. I described the different places you can have that. So once you have that, we can now go to the code. So let's write this code. Final response is equals to HTTP. We need to now import this HTTP here. So I just write import HTTP, the first one. And we said we have to write as HTTP, and this is also in the documentation. If you go to pub.dev, you'll find this specified there. And part of why sometimes an import statement is used with as is if there are other import statements that use the same word, like HTTP, there are possibly other packages that utilize this HTTP keyword. So this is a get again, and you're supposed to specify the URL here. So we said we use URI.pass, then we put the URL here. So for simplicity, I'll just go to my Postman and copy the entire code here, bring it here. It has the hard-coded credentials, not credentials, values that we use to create an account. I can just use this for now to just test whether this works. We also said when we are making HTTP requests, we need to label them with await keyword, and I explained that. And immediately we label them or any statement with await keyword, then we need to make the function async. Get is that at the right place? Async. Okay, good. So now we can actually run this and see what feedback we get. So I will just print the feedback here. Print response dot body. I just print what I get from the server here. All right, let me run this code and go to the register screen. Some random, since I'm not validating this yet, I can leave it as is. I'm not validating. Excuse me, I'm not validating this, so I'll just click on submit and see what is printed here. First, we have one error that says connection was refused. I think we've handled this before, but let's go back there. When we use localhost here, when the application is running in the emulator, actually localhost refers to the emulator. So we will change this to 10.0.2.2 or the specific IP address of your computer, but this works well. Let's run this again. Clear this, click submit. Now we are not doing that bad. At least it's communicating with XAMP, and it says you have a duplicate key, that is the email is the same. So since we had marked email as primary key in our database, or rather unique value in our database right here, email, then this record cannot be created using the same email. So let's use different values in this code here. Okay, first name we can use Jane Shallow, any name really. We can change this to 6. We can change this part here. Since these values are unique, the password doesn't need to be unique. We can now hot reload this and run, see whether the account will be created. Good. This has been created. So since this is now created, we can now remove the hard-coded values from this by using the controller, the values from the controllers. So look at what I will do. Instead of hard coding the name gen, I want to use the values that come from the text controller. So fname, first name text controller dot text. Go to the next one, this one. Sorry, not that one, the value, last name text. This last name is the text controller. We have the other one for the phone. This is string interpolation, what I'm doing, and we have talked about this part. So let's keep going. Then email all the way to this place. So the same method can be used any other time you want to create a record, or that same approach. Email dot text, and lastly password. Lastly password dot text. Good. Now let's try this with values that we key in here. Let's key in values here and test our code. So some name, Francis. Oh, this is repeating the same thing here. It means they are using the same controller. See this? When I write Francis here, the same appears here. It means those text fields, this one and this one, are using the same controller, this controller name. So we need to separate this. This should change to last name. Okay, let's now try. That is Francis. Francis, some second name. Okay, some phone numbers 0. Let me start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Some email. Okay, some password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll stick to that. This password again is not being used currently, but I will show you when and how to use it. For now, let's just submit this. So Francis Mutua. Okay, we can check the print statement here. That record has been created. We can check our database. This has been created, Francis Mutua. So our code is working. Now, let's proceed with completing this. First, when we just create this code, when we just receive values from the text field and immediately send them to the database, there could be invalid values that are being sent, or even empty texts that are being sent. So let's do this. Let's validate this first. If first name dot text, sorry, I'm at the wrong place. The validation should be before we get to send this data, right here. So if first name dot text is empty, if it is empty, we will show some snack bar. We've done this before. Snack bar error, please enter first name. Okay, then we now go to the next we go to the second check statement. If we could use else here, else if, I'll just copy this and use the second, that is last name. If that is empty, enter last name. Okay, I'll keep going. Else if I'm using the same order, so font, the same order as it appears in the registration screen. Enter, please enter phone number. Okay, then I copy the same. We have password. Now for password we have to do two things. First, we have to make sure it is not empty, both of them, but also that they match. In fact, the only reason we have two is so that we compare them and make sure they match, because mostly the texts are usually hidden. So let's carry out that check here. If password dot text is empty, or password again dot text that is empty, either of them should not be empty. If this one is empty, the first one, or this one is empty, you'll be told to provide matching passwords. Okay, let's continue. That's not all. Or if they do not match, if password dot text dot, we want to test whether it is equivalent to the other one, dot to string dot compare to the other one. Now we copy this. All right, you can just write password again dot, you can actually use dot text. We don't need to convert it to string, it's already string. Oh, no, you have to convert it to string. So when you convert this to string and convert this to string and compare, if they don't equal to, when they are 10, they will be equivalent to 0. But if they are not equivalent to 0, then there is a problem. So that's when you should be told to retake this part. I hope this makes sense. Let's check this again. So if password is empty, you'll be told, given this message. Let's adjust this message first, please. Password and password confirmation should be none, empty, and matching. So if it is empty, you get this message. If the second one is empty, you get this message. Or if they do not match, the two of them, then you get this message. So that check is important. Now, the else part is where we actually now do this work. We actually do this work. So that's the else part. So now there is validation. Let's go back to our code. Try. I just click on this without providing any okay, I clicked on this button. You can imagine what to get here. It's saying it's duplicate because you already have some code. Let me clear this by refreshing it. Okay, got to this screen. And now just click submit, and you can see error first name must be supplied. In case we supplied this, Dennis, you click submit, it says second name must be supplied, or last name. Okay, we can submit some values here. Okay, some password 12345, 12345. And now you can already tell, if we click on this, we will be able to register an account. We expect this to be 1. Now let's process what comes from the server right here, because we can't just print it here. So we said we must always start by checking if response.status code is equivalent to 200. It means that the server is working well and has responded. If it is, then we now need to process this string that we've been getting from the server, this part here, and that should be the easiest thing. So let's declare a variable here, final, because we need to access that one. Final, you could call it server data is equals to JSON decode. Remember we said on the other side the code is decoded. Encoded, we need to decode. Okay, so this is response dot body. So now we have that. If this is this, here we could just finish up with this the else part. If it's not 200, you can just print that there was a problem, that this person could not be registered. Get snack bar, registration, just a title, registration failed. If you want to be more, to bring more clarity, you can go to the server and send back some messages to why this failed. Right, let's proceed here. This server data, we need to get that value for success, which can either be 0 or 1. So let's get that. So if server data, we extract that message for success, because it's stored inside success, this one. This is the key and this is the value. If you remember when we were talking about maps, key, value, the value can always change, but this key is not changing. So let's get that value using its map, it's a key. So if this is equivalent to 1, then it means that this person has been registered and we can take the appropriate action. Maybe we can just display a snack bar, success, you are registered, but that might not be important and most appropriate thing to do. We can also navigate now to the login screen. So to off and to named, and the root for registration screen from my roots is shown by that. This is the login screen. So immediately the user registers, then I navigate to this. So let's now test this as we finish up. I hope I had not clicked on this. Let me see. Sorry, I have not refreshed this card. 1 minute. All right, so register some name. I want to just feed some random values as we finish. Right, remember they have to match. Even if they are matching, remember we're only picking one of the passwords. That's what we are taking to the database. Very well, let's click submit, see what happens. Success, you are registered, and immediately we were navigated, or we were taken to the login screen. That's how to integrate your registration screen. Thank you.